Hey. Okay, this is part 2. Excuse me. Reading the book I just got done eating. You can see. Did have a mess on my face. I ate a barbecue and ham sandwich. You can see I still got this on my face. Today my nose was bleeding on the bus. Anyways, let me go back just a little bit. How much? Let me go back to page 5. Oh, this is a novel. No, that's the reason why this takes so long to read. Take 24. Okay. Let's start with. Okay. Can't be easier to spot, so what do they expect? Once I was out in the backyard, that slope all the way past the woodpile and the apple orchard down to Blackberry Creek, only I was much closer to the house, actually hanging out near the bird feeder, when I heard a squeak coming from the front hall and squeak of a rubble boot heel on the hardwood floor. I'm an expect at hearing squeaks. You probably miss, and not only that, but I can identify certain specific squeaks. The higher and squeakier, the better. This probably squeak came from the heel of a green boot and with red laces that belonged to the Hammerin. Have I mentioned her yet? She and Bro are the twins. They're my favorite humans in the world. I like them also as much as I like me. Wait a second. Oh, that can't be good. I'm bleeding on my hand too. Well, let's not get crazy. Bro's names actually may not be Bro, but that's what Hammerin calls him. It caught on. I tried to remember the name he had before Bro and gave up instead, uncurling myself and enjoying a nice lazy stretch. What a lovely sight that must have been, but there was no one around to see it, not even Aroyd. Now on his knees and peering under the lowest branches of the tree. The next moment, Hammerin came into the room carrying a load of firewood and, yes, wearing his Christmas boots and green ones with the red laces. You may think that's being right all the time being would get boring, but take it from me, it doesn't. Hey, Elroy, she says, what a nice treat. Elroy now laying face down and way under the tree, but the lowest part of the leg showing squeakment around, and said something muffled and said like 16 feet, 6 inches. Hemorrhoid, and you'll never guess how that was when the tree started getting tippier. I was down on the floor myself, heading toward Hammerin with the idea of rubbing myself against her leg for a bit, just reminding her of me, but I'm not the type of stick around when Casper Casper is in the air. Casper, oh yeah, that is Casper, is in the air. Before you know it, almost before I knew it, I'd leap up to the top of the piano, a fine spot, although not as cozy as the bookcase. How pleasant to be so quick. Meanwhile, Hammerin, who's pretty quick herself in human terms, had somehow put down her load of split logs and grabbed onto a big bunch of trees, getting it back to almost steady. Thanks, Hammerin, Elroy said, backing out from underneath. But first I actually had one paw raised, all set to slick my way down to Hammerin and get on with the leg rubbing ritually. A familiar crashing and banging started up from the direction of the front floor, and walked Bro, also with an armful of wood. But although far from quiet in his movements, Bro wasn't the chef noisemaker. That would be finally member in the household whose I suppose that I have mentioned. There he was, real as real could be, and just so excited to be the mix, carrying around in his undignified way. Carrying one measly split log and a small one that will Wait. Oh, I just lost my page. It was near to the next chapter. Okay, we're almost done with this chapter. Carrying one measly split log and a small one that it leads crooked in the drooling mouth of his. He was real proud to be helping out. That weird stubby tail waggling to blur speed was giveaway. He's a trip. All you ever need to know about Arthur, you can tell from what that tail is up to. Forget about substantially when it comes to Arthur. That's true of all dogs, although many of them are much more presentable than Arthur. Maybe all of them. For example, what's the deal with that gnarly coat of his? Kind of like that old wet weed jacket Elroy wears when he has to dress up, and does his ears really need to be that flappy? Did he do one? Number 2?
Yeah, it came out the side of his diaper. Oh my goodness.
And his ears really need to be that floppy, particularly dragging on the floor. Plus, don't get me started on his nose. What takes up half of his Arthur? No, stop. That was humanity, but too late. Anything the slightest bit, usually like the sight of Elroy's crawling out from under the tree, is enough to get Arthur going. It was all so predictable. Arthur suddenly changes of direction, ripping through a wool of Mom's favorite rug with his clumsy claws. Then his all paws off the ground at once. Sprint toward Elroy, the split log dragging out one side of his mouth, flowing by a series of Arthur-type discussion, all customs demand, and ending with the tree dropping down and on Elroy's humanity brought in a pretty crystal flower vase, Mom's favorite, but not on Arthur, who stood just outside the circle of the destruction, his tail still wagging, although slower now, as though beginning to have doubts. I made a mental note, covering those turfs of rug wool now really available, then closed my eyes and settled into that nap, which was what I should have done from the start. So that was chapter 1.